let's go to JT Compher. So he's back in Michigan, where of course he played hockey before he was drafted. So Compher to the Detroit Red Wings, as Yzerman for the second summer in a row is not afraid to spend and hand out term to try and improve the Detroit Red Wings. So it is a 5-year deal, $5.1 million AAV is the deal for JT Compher after what was a pretty nice season for him with the Colorado Avalanche. So Compher moves on to the Red Wings, 5-year deal, just over $5 million per. What do we think about this one?
I kind of like this. I think that once Compher was given a real chance to shine in Colorado, he stepped up and, he played phenomenal when they were suffering from injuries down the middle. He was on that top line for a bit, and it was really paying off for them. So I think this is a guy that, a little more ice time in Detroit, he can continue to shine, can continue to be a 50-point guy. He plays a good two-way game, and you can play him up and down the line and center and on the right wing. So a little bit of a Swiss Army knife for them here. And when you look at some of the other contracts that they've given out in the last couple of years, you look at Kopp and Perron, I think that this starts looking pretty good when you compare it to those guys. So I'm going to give this a B-. It's pretty middle of the road. You could even give it a B if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mostly agree with you, Case. I think the fit for both team and player makes a ton of sense, and I even like the term as well. But the reason I'm going to give it a C+ is because I think the AAV is just too high for what he brings. I know he's a very versatile player, can play up and down the lineup, but I'm just not sure exactly anymore what the direction of the Detroit Red Wings really is. I mean, I know they want to make the playoffs. I just don't know if they're good enough with now adding Compher as sort of your versatile guy, maybe a third-line center. I don't know exactly where he's going to play, but I just don't know if this makes them that much closer to a playoff spot when there are other teams in the Atlantic who are only getting better. So if it were $4 million times 5 years, I would be more comfortable with it, and I would be in the B to B+ range. But I just think it's a little too much money for what he is. And all of that being said, I also want to mention too that if in 3 years the cap does go up a significant amount, that $5 million deal isn't going to look bad at all. It's going to look more like the new 3.5, the new $4 million deal type thing. So a lot of my arguments maybe could be just completely thwarted if the cap goes up by $10 million over the next 2 years. But I just think as of right now, we've seen so much uncertainty with the cap. It's not a guarantee that it will go up. So as of right now, I think 5 times 5.1 is just a little too rich for my blood. So I'll give it a C+.
Yeah, I'll go B- here. Compher is a great player, and I think he had close to 60 points last season, and so I would say between 45 and 50 is kind of where he can be. Again, he can play center and wing. He's won a Stanley Cup, and so it'll be interesting to see how this works out. But yeah, I just thought that just over $5 million for 5 years for this player was a little too much. And again, we're seeing a few deals now with the Red Wings that it's going to be interesting to see how they play out. Ben Sherratt, Andrew Kopp, who did have his struggles last season with Detroit. That's another big deal as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of these deals play out. But yeah, as for right now, I'll give it a B-, although Compher is a good versatile player. Just looks a little rich right now for sure.